Have you ever asked yourself, why can't I focus like everyone else? Or why do I start 100 things and finish none? You might be missing a hidden sign of adult ADHD. Most adults with ADHD don't even know they have it. They just think they're bad with the time or always overwhelmed. The truth might surprise you. And if you click away now, if you scroll past, you're risking the one thing that has perhaps eluded you your entire life: understanding. You are risking a lifetime of continuing to misinterpret your own mind, of labeling your deepest struggles as character flaws, of believing the quiet, persistent lie that you are simply not trying hard enough. What's at stake is the very narrative of your life. But if you stay, if you give this the next minutes of your attention, what you will gain is a key to a lock you may have stopped trying to open. A new lens through which to view every forgotten deadline, every fumbled relationship, every moment of restless frustration. This isn't just a video about symptoms. It's a potential map to a self you were never taught to recognize. The human brain is not a monolith. It is a sprawling, chaotic, and beautiful ecosystem of electrical storms and neural pathways. For too long, we've spoken of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder as a disorder of childhood, a simple case of fidgeting and daydreaming. But ADHD is not a deficit of attention at all. It is a dysregulation of attention. It is a brain that is not tuned to the boring, predictable frequencies of the modern world, but is instead a powerful radio telescope, picking up every signal from 100 different galaxies at once. The hum of the refrigerator, the flicker of the light, the 5 ideas you had simultaneously, the emotional undertow of the person speaking to you, all at the same volume. To tell this brain to just focus is like telling a hurricane to just be calm. The storm has its own logic, its own power, and its own path. And when this neurological reality goes undiagnosed into adulthood, it shapes a life. It writes a story where you are the unreliable narrator of your own existence, constantly wondering why the plot doesn't make sense. Consider the first sign: a relentless mental restlessness that masquerades as anxiety. This isn't merely worry. It's what Dr. Gabor Mate might describe as a mind constantly seeking novelty and stimulation, a manifestation of a brain whose default state is one of seeking, because to stop seeking is to plunge into a terrifying stillness. It's the reason you have 15 browser tabs open, 3 books half read, and a to-do list that feels like a threat. The second sign is the crippling paralysis of initiation, even for things you genuinely want to do. Neuroscientist Dr. Russell Barkley explains this not as laziness, but as a profound impairment in the brain's executive functions. The conductor of the orchestra is temporarily off stage. The intention is there, the desire is real, but the signal from the brain to the body to begin is lost in transmission, leaving you frozen in a state of agonizing inaction, watching the minutes tick by, hating yourself for your own stagnation. Then comes the third sign, the turbulent relationship with time. For the neurotypical brain, time is a river flowing in one direction. For the ADHD brain, time is an ocean. You are either drowning in the immediacy of the present moment, with no sense of future consequences, or you are lost in a fog where later is a theoretical land with no map to get there. Deadlines don't feel real until they are crashing through the wall like a SWAT team. This leads directly to the fourth sign, emotional dysregulation. Your emotions are not felt, they are experienced as weather systems. A minor criticism becomes a monsoon of shame. A small frustration ignites a forest fire of rage. And joy can be so intense it feels like a religious experience. As experts like Dr. William Dodson point out, this isn't immaturity. It's a nervous system that lacks the robust neurological brakes to modulate the intensity of feeling, leaving you raw and exposed to the whims of your own inner climate. The fifth sign is the vortex of hyperfocus, the other side of the coin. This is not the calm, sustained attention of a monk in meditation. This is a state of rapturous, obsessive immersion in a task that provides the brain with the intense stimulation it craves. For hours, the world falls away. You forget to eat, to drink, to move. It feels like genius, like flow, and it is, but it is a fickle master. You cannot command it to appear for your tax forms, but it will arrive unbidden at 2 a.m. for a project that captivates you. The sixth sign is the profound sense of overwhelm from what others see as simple tasks. A request to clean the kitchen isn't one task. It's a fractal explosion of 100 micro-tasks. Unload the dishwasher, scrub the pan, wipe the counter, take out the trash. Each one demanding a decision. Each decision draining a finite reservoir of mental energy. It's cognitive torture disguised as domesticity. And then the seventh sign, the inconsistent performance that baffles everyone, especially you. You are brilliant in a crisis, a strategic mastermind when the pressure is on, yet you somehow miss the same meeting 3 weeks in a row. You can deliver a flawless presentation to a boardroom but cannot remember to buy milk on the way home. This inconsistency isn't a moral failing. It's the signature of a brain that is exquisitely wired for interest and urgency, but pathologically ill-equipped for the mundane and the predictable. Finally, the eighth sign, the deep, often hidden well of shame. This is the emotional residue of a lifetime of these 7 signs. It's the voice that whispers, "You are a fraud. You are broken. If you only tried harder, you could be normal." It is the silent companion to every forgotten promise, every missed opportunity, the ghost in the machine of your life. Now let me ask you a direct and perhaps unsettling question. What if the very things you have been punished for, the traits you have learned to hate in yourself, are not signs of a broken mind, but the fingerprints of a different kind of mind? What if the problem isn't you, but the world's failure to understand your operating system? This is the turning point, because understanding the what is only the first step. The path forward, the treatment, and the recovery is not about curing a disease. It is about management. It is about building a life that works with your brain, not against it. The first approach is often medication, stimulants that paradoxically calm the storm. They don't drug you into normality. They provide the neurochemical scaffolding, the dopamine and norepinephrine that your brain lacks, allowing the conductor to finally step onto the podium and lead the orchestra. It's not a magic pill, but it is often the foundation that makes every other strategy possible. The second approach is behavioral therapy and coaching. This is the practical architecture you build upon that foundation. It's learning to externalize what your brain cannot internalize, using planners, alarms, and systems as your external prefrontal cortex. It's about breaking the cycle of shame by understanding that your past failures were not failures of character, but mismatches of strategy. The third and perhaps most profound approach is what we might call, in the spirit of Carl Rogers, unconditional positive self-regard. It is the radical act of ceasing to wage war against your own neurology. It is the difficult daily practice of self-compassion. It is learning to recognize the warning signs of the storm, not with panic, but with the calm expertise of a meteorologist. It's about designing an environment that minimizes your weaknesses and amplifies your incredible strengths, your creativity, your resilience in crisis, your ability to think in nonlinear connections, your empathy born from a lifetime of feeling different. Recovery is not about becoming someone else. It is about coming home to who you have always been, without the crushing weight of judgment. So, have you ever felt like a radio telescope in a world of AM radios? Why does nobody talk about the grief for the person you could have been if you had only known sooner? If you've made it this far, I want to know who truly understood the message. Leave the phrase "I see the map" in the comments, and let's see how many of you really grasp what it means to finally hear the music in your own unique static. If this video made you question something, if it made you see your own mind from a different angle, like and subscribe, because this is just the beginning of untangling the story. I'll see you in the next video. And remember, the first step toward mastering the storm is to stop blaming yourself for the rain.